Your first month of retirement isn't a vacation, it's a foundation. Most Americans treat it like the finish line 40 years of alarms, deadlines, commutes, then one day it stops. And the plan is simple sleep in, relax, finally do nothing. It sounds like freedom. For a while, it even feels like it. But something strange happens by week 3. The days start blurring together. The relief turns into a quiet, unnamed restlessness. Nobody warned you that nothing to do could feel this heavy. In Japan, the first month looks almost nothing like this, and what retirees there do instead, starting on day 1, might be the most important shift you never knew you needed. There are 8 things Japanese retirees do in that first month. Small things, quiet things, nothing that looks dramatic from the outside. But number 3 has nothing to do with hobbies, and it might be the one that surprises you the most. Number 6 isn't about health, even though it looks like it is at first. And number 8, the last one, is the one that quietly ties every other habit together. Skip it, and the rest barely work. Most people in the West never realize this. They assume retirement is about finally resting. Japan seems to know something else entirely, something about structure, purpose, and presence that most of us were never taught. So stay until the end, because once you see number 8, you won't be able to unsee it in everything that came before. Number 1, they go back to work, just not the way you'd expect. In the West, retirement has one clear rule: no more work, ever. You put in your decades, you clocked out for the last time. The idea of taking a job again, even a small one, can feel like failure, like you didn't quite make it to the finish line everyone promised you. In Japan, it looks completely different. Many retirees join what's called a Silver Human Resource Center, a local network that connects older adults with light, part-time work: gardening, cleaning, bicycle repair, simple, physical tasks done a few hours a week. And here's the part that changes everything. It was never really about the money. It was about having somewhere to be. This connects to a concept the Japanese call Ikigai. It means your reason for being, the quiet thread that pulls you out of bed in the morning. Not a career, not a paycheck, just a reason. And this is the part most people miss. Purpose doesn't retire with you. It doesn't clock out just because your job title disappears. If nothing replaces it, the emptiness moves in fast, and it moves in quietly. That's item 1. But what comes next has nothing to do with a job at all. It has to do with everything sitting in your closet right now. Number 2, before they add anything new, they take something away. In the West, the instinct after retiring is to celebrate, redecorate the living room, renovate the kitchen, finally buy the furniture you've been eyeing for years because you earned it, because this is the reward chapter. Treat yourself first, figure out the rest later. In Japan, it tends to happen in the opposite order. Retirees clear space before they fill it. Closets get emptied, drawers get sorted, boxes untouched for a decade finally get opened, and most of what's inside gets given away or thrown out. Only after that does anything new come in. There's a word for this practice: Danshari. It's built from 3 ideas: refuse, dispose, and separate. Refuse what you don't need, dispose of what you don't use, separate yourself from the attachment to things, not just the things themselves. And here's what nobody talks about. You can't build a new chapter on top of the old clutter. The unread books, the unworn clothes, the drawer of cords for devices you don't even own anymore, they're not neutral. They're small, constant reminders of unfinished business, sitting quietly in every room you walk through. Clearing space isn't about minimalism for its own sake. It's about making room for the version of your life you're actually about to live. That's item 2, but the next one has nothing to do with your home at all. It has to do with who's standing just outside your front door. Number 3, and this one has nothing to do with hobbies at all. In the West, retirement comes with a very specific fantasy. Finally, peace and quiet. No more small talk, no more obligations, no more knocking on your door. After decades of meetings and commitments, isolation can feel like the reward. Just you, your space, and silence. In Japan, retirees tend to move the opposite direction. Many step deeper into what's called the chonakai, the local neighborhood association. They take on trash duty. They help organize seasonal festivals. They check in on elderly neighbors living alone, bringing food or simply knocking to make sure someone's okay. It's not glamorous work. It's not even optional in some neighborhoods. And that's exactly the point. This connects to a deeper cultural idea called wa, meaning harmony, the quiet sense of belonging that comes from being woven into something larger than yourself. Here's what most people never realize until it's too late. Independence without community isn't peace, it's loneliness with better lighting. You can have the quiet house, the empty calendar, the freedom to do absolutely nothing, and still feel like something essential is missing. That's item 3. But what comes next might be the hardest habit on this list to actually keep because it has nothing to do with what you do and everything to do with when you wake up. Number 4. They keep waking up at the exact same time, even though nothing is forcing them to anymore. In the West, sleeping in becomes one of the first small rebellions of retirement. No alarm, no shift to catch. Finally, you can stay in bed until 9, 10, whenever your body feels like getting up, because you've earned that right after decades of early mornings. In Japan, many retirees do something almost stubborn in comparison. They keep the same 5:30 or 6 a.m. wake-up time they had during their working years, not out of obligation, out of choice. The alarm may be gone, but the rhythm stays exactly where it was. This reflects a principle called kaizen, the practice of small, continuous improvement carried out every single day. It's not about big transformations. It's about tiny, consistent actions repeated so often they become who you are. And here's the part that quietly changes everything. Freedom without a rhythm doesn't feel like freedom for long. It feels like drift. Days blur together, mornings lose their shape, and the structure that once organized your energy disappears right when you need it most. That's item 4, but what we're about to cover next, most people in the West have never even considered it. Number 5, and this is where most bucket lists quietly fall apart. In the West, retirement comes with a list. Learn painting, try golf, pick up photography, finally start that novel. The instinct is to chase everything at once, as if trying 10 hobbies will somehow add up to a full life. Most of them get abandoned within a few months, half finished and half forgotten. In Japan, retirees tend to choose just one: pottery, calligraphy, the shakuhachi, a traditional bamboo flute. One craft, practiced slowly, for years. Not because there's no time for more, because depth matters more than variety. This is the spirit of shokunin, the mindset of a craftsman devoted entirely to mastering one thing. It's not about talent, it's about the discipline of showing up to the same work again and again until it becomes part of you. Before we go further, if any of this is landing, take a moment right now to think of the one thing you've always meant to actually get good at. Not the list, just the one. Here's what most people never realize. A full plate of hobbies isn't the same as one deep well. 10 shallow interests can occupy your time. One devoted craft can actually change who you are. That's item 5. And number 8 builds directly on this one, more than you'd expect. Number 6. And at first, this one looks like simple exercise. It isn't. In the West, walking after retirement usually means fitness. Get the steps in, hit the target on the watch. Walking becomes another task on the list, measured and tracked, a means to an end, like everything else. In Japan, many retirees walk differently. No destination, no pace to hit, often into a park, a forest edge, a quiet stretch of green space, just to be there. No goal beyond the walk itself. This connects to Shinrin Yoku, often translated as forest bathing, the practice of moving slowly through nature simply to absorb it, without performance or purpose attached. And this is the part that changes how you see everything else. Movement isn't punishment for the body. It's not a debt you owe it for eating too much or moving too little. Done this way, it becomes a conversation with your body instead of a demand placed on it. That's item 6, and number 8 builds directly on this one, more than you'd expect. Number 7, and this one starts by looking backward, not forward. In the West, self-improvement almost always points ahead. New goals, 5-year plans, vision boards for the next chapter, built entirely on where you're headed next. Looking back can feel unproductive, like dwelling instead of growing. In Japan, many retirees begin with a quieter practice, one that looks at the past before it looks at the future. It's called Naikan, a structured method of self-reflection built around 3 simple questions. What was I given? What did I give in return? What trouble did I cause? Answered honestly, in writing, often every single day. There's no self-congratulation in it and no self-punishment either, just an honest accounting, written down instead of just felt. Here's what most people never realize. You can't build a wise next chapter without honestly reading the last one. Skipping straight to new goals without ever reckoning with what came before means building on a foundation you never actually examined. That's item 7. Save the last one for the end, because it changes how you see everything before it. Number 8, the one we told you to save for the end. Here it is. In the West, retirement gets filled to the brim on purpose. Every hour gets scheduled, every gap gets covered, because an empty hour can start to feel like failure. If you're not doing something, are you even using this time right? So the calendar fills up with errands, shows, calls, anything to avoid the discomfort of stillness. In Japan, many retirees do something that sounds almost too simple to matter. They protect 1 hour a day of true silence. No phone, no television, no obligation to anyone, including themselves. Just an hour where nothing is required and nothing is filled in. This connects to a concept called ma. It refers to negative space, the meaningful pause, the emptiness between things that gives everything else its shape. In music, ma is the silence between notes. In a room, it's the space that lets the furniture breathe. In a life, it's the hour that lets everything else make sense. And if you're watching this, you already know what an unfilled hour feels like. Uncomfortable at first, almost itchy, but sit inside it long enough and something shifts. Because here's the part that ties everything else together. The job that isn't really a job, the cleared closets, the neighborhood ties, the early mornings, the one deep craft, the unhurried walks, the honest looking back. None of those 7 things fully take root without this one. Silence isn't the empty space in a life well lived, it's the soil. This is the one habit that makes the rest actually work. Skip it, and the other 7 stay scattered, disconnected, each one a good idea instead of one whole life. Protect it, and suddenly everything you've just heard stops being a list and starts being a rhythm. That's item 8, and it's the reason everything before it just made a little more sense. 8 things, none of them loud, none of them dramatic. No radical reinvention, no 5-year plan taped to the fridge. A small job that isn't really about the paycheck. A closet cleared before anything new comes in. A neighborhood circle stepped into instead of avoided. A wake-up time kept even when nothing demands it anymore. One craft, chosen and returned to, instead of 10 tried and abandoned. A walk with nowhere to be. An honest look backward before looking ahead. And 1 hour of silence, guarded like it matters, because it does. On their own, these look like 8 separate habits, a checklist you could tick off one box at a time, but that's not really what they are. Together, they form something closer to a system. Purpose gives you a reason to get up. Cleared space gives that purpose room to live. Community holds it steady. Rhythm keeps it moving. Mastery gives it depth. Movement lets it breathe. Reflection keeps it honest. And silence, that 1 hour of nothing, is what lets all 7 of the others actually settle into place. Most people in the West never build this on purpose. They wait for retirement to hand them a life, the way it seemed to hand them a paycheck for 40 years. But Japan seems to understand something different. A good chapter isn't given to you. It's built, quietly, one small habit at a time, starting on day 1. And if you're watching this, you already know which of these 8 you're missing. You don't have to wait for retirement to start any of them. Not the walk, not the hour of silence, not the one deep craft sitting untouched somewhere in the back of your mind. If any part of this gave you something to think about differently, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you want to keep going deeper into the quiet wisdom Japan has been living for centuries, subscribe, because this is only the beginning of what they know. Your first month of retirement isn't a vacation, it's a foundation. Build it well, and everything after it gets a little lighter to carry.